Hello. Cheers. Oh, what's this, you ask? It's just my local yarn store, no big deal. Also, before we get into this intro, this is my house. I moved. This is the guest bedroom. Things are kind of bare. We have nothing on the walls anywhere in the house. And my brain is stumped as to what to hang, where to hang it. I don't know why, but that has always given me a certain level of anxiety. So things are bare, but it's perfectly livable. Everything is unpacked. Every place has a thing. Everything has a place. Well, not everything has a place. You get what I'm saying? We're in, we're settled, we're loving it. So I guess I'll start by saying, I know it's been a while since I made a video, and I don't know if I've explicitly said it here on YouTube, but I know I've mentioned it over on Instagram. Basically, I had a goal for the year 2022 to upload a video every month, at least one video. And in the month of April, yes, April, last month, I fell short. I did not upload a video. It's been several weeks, probably upwards of 6 weeks since I uploaded a video. And honestly, I don't owe an explanation and I'm not sorry. So let's start there. But life has picked up. Things are opening up. I find myself going out more, doing social things. And really what it came down to is that I shifted around my priorities a little bit. I'm prioritizing getting more sleep, which takes time. I am prioritizing working out, which takes time. I'm prioritizing eating healthier, which for me means making more meals at home. Again, takes time. I'm prioritizing spending time with my husband, who I love. Takes time. All great things. Nothing sad really is happening, but my shifting around of priorities means that the time I previously dedicated to just manically knitting on my projects and just cranking out finished objects left and right has been sort of deprioritized on the list of things in my life. And I am not making as fast of progress on my projects. And I'm also low on energy because in the time since I've gone away, I actually returned back to office on a hybrid schedule. So up until now, I've been going 2 days out of the work week. Starting next week, I'll be going in 3 days a week. And so that takes up time and energy. My days are longer. All of this has combined to mean that I've had less time, not only to knit, which is probably priority in terms of hobbies, it's the top hobby, but also less time to think of and create and put out content, because sitting down to record these videos and then editing them takes way more time than I think I realized coming into this. And editing specifically is not something I particularly enjoy. So all that to say is that less time on social media and less time on YouTube, I think in general it's a good thing for me. But it has meant that I'm not able to put out content, and I do enjoy creating things and putting them on YouTube. So that's kind of a bummer that that's had to take a back seat, but ultimately I'm happy where my priorities are right now, and I continue to sort of refine that and find ways to still reach my goals in terms of eating right, getting more sleep, spending time with husband, working out. But also making progress on my projects and creating this content, which I also enjoy. Anyway, I have notes. Like, I've sent myself a detailed like outlined list of the talking points I want to hit, because one thing I realized since making this channel is, well, I'm forgetful. I knew that before starting this channel. But there's always like a couple of things after I export a video that I'm like, dang, I forgot to mention this. So a fellow YouTube creator, and she's also on Instagram as Knitted by Whitney, She and I surpassed 1,000 subscribers around the same time, and we both had the idea of recording like an Ask Me Anything or Q&A style video where we ask our audience for questions and we record a video where we answer them. By the way, and I haven't mentioned that again, bad YouTuber, that's what this video is going to be, but I'm filming this little extra intro to set it up because some things ain't gonna make sense otherwise. So she shouted me out, and I, being the stupid, so stupid, because I meant to shout her out too. She beat me to the chase, and I failed to return the favor in the original footage that I recorded. So I wanted to take the time now to say, first of all, thank you, Whitney. That was so sweet of you for mentioning my channel and congratulating me, but also to return the sentiments to you. Congratulations, your channel is awesome. Your content is great. If you guys have not followed her or have not heard of her, please check her channel out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. As a bit of a segue from that, I also wanted to take some time to mention and thank the other channels who have shouted me out over the past few months of me having this channel. So again, I mentioned that I have a bad memory, which is really not an excuse because all it takes is a little bit of forethought. Consider this a blanket thank you to anyone who's mentioned my channel, and sorry that I never specifically thanked you on video, but I do always comment and thank them in the comments. So it's not that it goes unacknowledged. It's just that I don't acknowledge it in this, you know? Yeah, I really appreciate how welcoming and supportive this community is. So the channel I wanted to specifically shout out is the lovely Young Folk Knits. They mentioned me in one of their previous episodes, and they specifically mentioned my latest reel that is basically poking fun at knitting podcasters. It's all in good spirits, so I just thought that was funny, and I really appreciate them shouting me out. And after they mentioned me, because their channel is pretty big, I want to say it's close to 10,000, maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. But after they mentioned me, I noticed a significant spike in my followers, and during that spike is when I surpassed 1,000 subscribers. So in a way, I can thank them specifically for passing this milestone. I think I would have reached it eventually, but the way it kind of all happened, I know it's because they mentioned me in their video. So I so appreciate you ladies. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That I will take a moment to mention 2 to 3 channels that I've been enjoying recently, just to share the love and share some of the joy that I've been having. First up is Sunny of Noodly Knits. So I followed Sunny on Instagram, I don't even know how long, probably at least a couple years now. And she's super funny, super down to earth, very talented. She's actually got a couple pattern designs, one of which I actually tested for her and another of which I knit sort of on my own. I think she's a breath of fresh air, and she recently started her own YouTube channel, and from what I gather, she was pretty nervous about the reception, but I think it's been overwhelmingly positive, and I'm so happy for her that she took that leap of faith and decided to make content of her own on YouTube. I don't know why it's so nerve-wracking to put yourself out there. I mean, it's just the internet, but I totally feel some of the anxiety that she was sort of expressing. So I think you should check her channel out. The first video she released was like a knitting vlog, knit with me type of video, which personally is my favorite type of knitting video to watch. Yes, it's super fun, cute, wholesome. She knits a shirt for her mom in record speed, from what I understand, as a Mother's Day gift, and it's sort of a vlog about her experience knitting it up, and I found it really enjoyable. So if you haven't heard of her through Instagram, she now has a YouTube channel that I highly recommend checking out. I cannot wait to see what she comes out with next. The next creator I wanted to mention is Cece from Stitch Witchcraft, right? Stitch Witchcraft. She's Stitch Witchcraft over on Instagram. Try to say that 10 times fast. Oh my gosh. And she's the same handle here on YouTube. Her channel is relatively new as well. She hasn't been making content that long, but she is a natural at it. I don't know if she has any like video and photography experience professionally in her past, but she's so good at it. She's an excellent storyteller. She just has a very calming yet moody vibe about her, and I just think she's great. I just think she's great. I so enjoy everything she contributes to this community, and none of it feels forced or gimmicky or contrived. She's just truly being herself and sharing her perspective on the fiber arts, and she's branching out. So from what I can tell, she's been doing some natural dyeing, and that's really exciting endeavor for her. So I think you guys should check her out if you haven't heard of her already, which if you haven't, where have you been? She's amazing. The next thing I wanted to talk about is some upcoming video ideas that have been bouncing around in my head. So in the intro to the intro, I kind of alluded to that my time is being stretched a little thin. More things are happening in my life, less time that I'm, you know, consciously dedicating to knitting. And a lot of that was, yes, rearranging my priorities, but in doing so and sort of acknowledging that knitting wasn't super high on my priority list anymore, I kind of fell out of love with it for a brief moment. Wasn't really feeling super inspired to knit nor to produce content. It just all felt like too much. It felt just insurmountable at times. It's just like, how can I record a video? How can I talk about knitting? How can I even knit? Like, what even? I can barely get through the day. So I was having some tough moments there. Whatever. I won't belabor that, but in the days leading up to this moment now where I'm sitting and recording this video, I have just felt, you know what? It is 100% a result of the knitting retreat that I went on, which, how have I not mentioned that? Oh my gosh. I went on a knitting retreat. It was a 3-day, it was from Friday afternoon to Sunday morning, full of knitting and camaraderie and community, and just, it was amazing. Laura McDougall and Allison Dyheisen of the LauraAllison.party, LauraAllison.com dynamic duo. They host these retreats. They also teach knitting classes, and I think they teach sewing. No, not yet, but they're both incredible sewists. They are just super talented, and that, whatever. I'm getting a little animated. Anyway, I decided to sign up for one of their spring retreats this past weekend. And when I got back home, I felt invigorated. I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm super inspired. First of all, I brought 3 projects with me, which is a little bit out of character because I'm typically a monogamous maker, but since I've been commuting to work, I have like a train whip, so there's a sock action happening there. And then I spontaneously cast on a steeked cardigan because I wanted to have a project to steek at the retreat, which I did, and it went successful. More on that later. And I also had a test knit, which I also signed up for spontaneously. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so off topic. Anyway, throughout the course of that weekend, I felt really inspired and invigorated. I felt super motivated to dream up some new content, to knit more things, to power through my current project so I can knit some more things that have come to my attention. I bought some yarn that I didn't need, but I was super happy with, and I bought them with specific projects in mind, so I'm not super mad at myself. And I'm like really excited about that yarn. It's a new yarn to me, whatever. All that to say, I've just really been feeling motivated lately, and some video ideas that I've many of which I've thought of before, but are kind of prevalent in my mind again, are some things I want to try to execute to some extent. And I thought I would share some of those ideas with you guys. So there are a couple of knit with me's that are for sure going to come out. One for the self-drafted steeked cardigan. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I've been sharing project updates there. So if you want to kind of get an inside scoop on that, follow me over on Instagram. But definitely a knit with me video coming for that project. A knit with me video for the test knit that I'm currently working on. And, you know, just because I don't test knit super often, and I figured it would be fun to like document my experience. A flash my queue video. I try to, the best of my ability, use my queue strategically, meaning I only keep projects in there that I have plans to make and or I have the yarn to make it, and I kind of try to roughly keep them in chronological order, in the order that I intend to cast them on. And it's kind of a gradual decrease in organization and intention as you get towards the bottom of the list. Currently I have about 30 items on my queue. I thought it would be fun to record a video where I kind of walk through the patterns that are in my queue and kind of talk through my strategy on how to organize my queue, and just, I don't know. I just thought that would be fun because I really like revisiting my queue, rearranging things, and dreaming up new projects to make. So I thought that could be fun. What's in my, and this is kind of in a similar vein of the flash my queue, but what's in my Instagram bookmarks, which honestly, my strategy for that is way less intentional. I kind of just bookmark things that maybe it's a pattern that is coming out but it's not out yet, so I can't favorite it on Ravelry, or, you know, something that has struck my inspiration in one way or another. But the thing with my bookmarks is that I kind of bookmark it and then I never look at my archive. And I haven't been recently, so if I record that video, it'll probably be chaotic, but hopefully entertaining. And then a procrastinating series where I just sit down and do the knitting related things that I've been putting off. So for me, that means depilling some of my older makes that I haven't gotten around to doing that with. That means washing my knits. That means storing my knits for the warmer weather, which I haven't done yet, and it's dang near the end of May. Yeah, things like that. And I think making it into a video will motivate me a little bit more and keep me accountable, because these are things that I've been meaning to do for literal months, and I would literally rather do anything else. So that is another video idea. Last but not least, I want to give you a little intro into the Q&A footage itself. First of all, I did not mention what I was wearing. I am wearing one of my more recent finished objects, which is the Rift Tee by Jacqueline Cieslak. I used the Pearl Soho Good Wool, which is a sport weight wool. I can't remember the colorway name, but my Ravelry project definitely has it there. And it's the same yarn, just a different colorway that I use for my cotton grass pullover and my previous video. Yeah, that was the last video I uploaded. And another sort of disclaimer is that I recorded this video several weeks ago, and I did it spontaneously, like a little forethought, little review and organization of the questions I was answering. And I think it was the end of a work day, so I was kind of, my energy levels weren't the best. Maybe I'm making excuses, but I just feel like it was very chaotic, and part of me wanted to refilm the Q&A altogether. Should I do that? An alternative that's just as good is to me to just sit down and let you guys know. If the vibes are off, that's why. but it is what it is. So yeah, I'll try to edit it and make it make the most sense possible, but yeah, that's kind of the gist. That's the gist of it. It's a very good chance I don't close out the video in a way that makes sense. So I'm gonna just say bye to you now and apologize for past Kendra because she was on one. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy it. I'll add some timestamps below so that you can hop around if you want to go straight to the Q&A. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for helping me or this channel surpass 1,000 subscribers. And I'm so excited for my next video, and I hope you are too. Bye. This channel has recently surpassed a follower or subscriber milestone of 1,000. So I figured I'd come on and do a Q&A. So all of the questions I'll be answering were submitted by my followers over on Instagram. If you're interested in following me there, I'm pretty active and I do some real-time project updates. So if you ever want to know what I'm up to when I'm not on YouTube, that is the perfect place to find me. What else? I'm not going to be going through these questions in any particular order. And while I'm answering them, if my brain can manage to do two things at once, I am going to be cranking out some rounds on my current project, which is a design of my own making. So that's fun. I'm just making it up as I go along. It's nothing super formal, probably won't ever publish it or anything like that, but I've been having some fun with it. So while I'm thinking through the questions and answering, I'll just be working on this. So thank you to everyone who submitted questions. I'll pop some timestamps below with each of the questions. So if you want to jump to me answering a specific question, feel free. So the first question is, what do you like to watch while knitting or crocheting? I am either watching my husband play video games or watching a knitting or crocheting related YouTube content. Or if I'm watching a Netflix show, I'm probably have that on in the background. I don't watch a lot of TV, and the shows that I do watch are with my husband. So I'm either watching my husband play video games, watching something on the TV with him, or watching YouTube. And yeah, that pretty much covers it. Why are you so amazing? I don't know. So this question says, what is your favorite knitting technique, i.e. cables, short rows, ribbing, etc.? I would say definitely cables. I love cables. I'm working on a cable project and I just find them so classic. And you know, I liked color work for the one project I did, but I find anything with texture just tends to catch my eye a little bit, and it kind of makes a statement, but if you do it in the right colors or the right yarn, it can still be subtle and classic and understated. So I really love knitting cables. I love the way they look, and I can't wait to knit more projects that include cables. The next question is, what is your favorite way to pick up stitches? I didn't know there was more than one way to pick up stitches. So I guess I don't have an answer for that question. I just kind of pick them up knitwise. But if there are other techniques for picking up stitches, I might need to look into that. But in general though, I hate picking up stitches. But I'm only aware of one way to do it. Team cable needle or team needleless? I am team needleless. I do not knit with a cable needle. I don't knit cables with a cable needle, rather. It's just so much faster And maybe if I was doing like larger cables that had a lot of stitches, it would benefit me to do a cable needle. But for the most part, all of the cable patterns that I've done so far, I have not needed a cable needle. And that's pretty much one of the first things I learned when I started cabling, because it just makes it so much faster for me. What is your go-to / can't live without knitting tool? I'm assuming outside of actual knitting needles, which by the way, I have the ChiaoGoo red lace interchangeables. And when I first started knitting, I started with the Knit Picks. I forgot what they were called, but they're nickel plated interchangeable needles, and I just really didn't like the cord. And once I realized how obsessed I was with knitting, I decided to invest in a pricier set. And I got my ChiaoGoos, and no turning back since then. But outside of knitting needles, my favorite knitting tool, probably my Amish Swift and ball winder, because when I first started knitting, I didn't use a lot of yarn that came in hank form that I would have to wind up. But the deeper I got into the hobby, the faster I realized, okay, something's got to give. So when I purchased my ball winder and Swift, it was a total game changer. And I can't say I use it every day. I don't work through yarn that fast, but I probably use it at least every 1 to 2 weeks. And it saved me a lot of time. So that's my go-to tool. Dream knitting project. I don't know. I have a lot on my queue that I'm excited to work on. Dream knitting project. Nothing specific comes to my mind at this point. I guess, yeah, I don't want to say it's a dream project though, because in that case, everything I haven't knit yet is a dream project, so. I don't know, but it'll probably be something with cables. What's the project you always want to make, even if you have 10? For example, shawl, blanket, etc. I always want to make. I feel like I always want to make, my yarn, no. I would say a sweater. I mean, it's what piqued my interest in knitting in the first place. And I love wearing sweaters. My friends, my best friend in college would actually tease me because she would say whenever we went shopping, that's all I would buy. And she's not wrong. I mean, it's an exaggeration, but I get where she was coming from, because I just love a good sweater. It's the perfect versatile fall winter outfit piece. And yeah, so definitely sweaters. I will always be game to knit a sweater. Outside of that, I love crocheting blankets. So yeah, it's one of those. The next question is, when do I think I'll fall down a spinning rabbit hole? So spinning yarn, I gotta say, I don't really have much of an interest in spinning yarn. Yeah, I have so much respect for people who do, but what I enjoy most is making things that I can wear and use. And I feel like, to me, spinning is just an added barrier to knitting the things that I want to wear, because you spin yarn and you then knit yarn into the thing. I much prefer knitting the yarn into the thing, and I don't think I'll probably ever pick up spinning. Next question is, do you prefer textured stitches or color work? Definitely textured stitches. Color work is fun for what it is, but one thing I don't generally like is anything that's super busy. And a lot of the colorwork patterns I see, I wouldn't say they're super busy, but they're, oh, my dog is playing with his toy. I thought he was vomiting. A lot of the colorwork patterns that I've seen don't really draw my eye the way, say, some type of cabled or textured pattern does. And I don't really do a lot of exploring when it comes to colors. So when I'm knitting a project that requires more than 2 colors, I do tend to get a little stressed out and overthink it. And I wouldn't say I'm very good at pairing colors. Again, if it's more than 2 colors, I get a little, it's not enjoyable to me because I tend to overthink it. And there are very few colorwork patterns that I've seen that don't make me go, oh, that's a lot. So for example, the cotton grass jumper that I knit in my last video, that was just the right amount of visual sort of appeal for me. And it took me a long time and a lot of rabbit holes to actually find that pattern and decide to make it. Whereas with cable patterns, I pretty much want to make every one of them that I see. I really love cables and textured stitches. And I don't love color. So color work is kind of like by default not gonna be my preferred technique, if that makes sense. Would you rather only knit with fingering weight yarn or bulky yarn forever? Ooh. So I don't know if there are any loopholes to this, but I choose fingering weight. I've never knit anything other than socks and one shawl with fingering weight yarn. But the reason I choose fingering weight is because you can hold it double, you can hold it triple, quadruple, and pretty much achieve any yarn weight that you would otherwise use. Whereas bulky, I feel like might be a little limiting in that regard. Neutrals or colors? Definitely neutrals. They go with everything, and I never feel like I'm standing out, which is one of the things I don't really like to do. So I'm definitely more drawn to neutrals. Although I have a skein of like bright headache neon yellow yarn that I plan to make a hat with. But for the most part, definitely neutrals. What is your absolute favorite knitting technique thus far? Knitting technique? Probably cables. Probably cables. I haven't made a whole lot, but I love knitting cables and I love the way they look. So yeah, cables for sure. What would you make if you had unlimited money for just one project? What would I make if I had unlimited money for just one project? Oh, what is that pattern called? I would probably make something with woolfolk yarn. I love a lot of their patterns and I've yet to use any of their yarns. And I would love to make a woolfolk pattern with woolfolk yarn. Or maybe I would just make 100% cashmere bodysuit or something absolutely ridiculous. Like if money is not a factor, go big or go home. I don't know. All right. What fiber would you choose if you could only use one forever? Probably wool. I don't know how specific I should be with that answer. I haven't tried a whole lot of different breeds of wool, but all the wool that I've used, I really like. So I guess I would say wool. Non-superwash, important distinction. All right. Oh, you and your hubby's Origin story. My husband and I met in college on a weekend event called Unofficial St. Patrick's Day, where it is customary for students to literally drink from sunrise to sunset. And I was partaking, and I'm notoriously lightweight when it comes to alcohol and pretty much any substance. Not that I've tried a lot, but yeah, alcohol specifically, yeah. So anyway, I was really drunk, and my roommate and best friend, I had confided in her. Well, she knows that I was interested in this guy, and I got the liquid courage to procure his number, his contact information. And we had mutual friends, so it wasn't just like a random guy I'd seen one day. And we had plans that night to go hang out at his house, actually by way of invite of said mutual friend. I was a little bit too inebriated to make it, so I missed out on the opportunity to hang out with him a little bit. So yeah, I drunkenly requested to get his number from the mutual friend, and my friend had to start up a text conversation with him, and we went out on a date the weekend after, and we've been together ever since. So that is the very short version of the story. It's not much more to it, but that's the gist of it. This question says, do you have a supportive family when it comes to... It got cut off. Do I have a supportive family? Oh. Hey.
Hey.
Do you have a supportive family when it comes to your crafts? The bottom part of it got cut off, but I think that's what the question is. And I would say yes, I do have a very supportive family. My family watches my YouTube channel. They follow me on Instagram. And since starting like this channel and the Instagram account, I've been having so much more fun with the hobby, and yeah, they're definitely supportive. What is your favorite yarn adjacent activity? So yarn adjacent, like related to yarn, but not actually knitting, maybe? I guess YouTube. But if you mean yarn adjacent as in not related to yarn at all, I like putting together Lego architecture sets, and I like reading, although these days it's audiobooks. Although now that I can knit without looking, I might get into reading actual textbooks. Yeah, I'm getting back into playing the piano when I have time. I like to practice that. But other than that, chilling, hanging out. I'm very low key. If you could never knit again, what craft would you do? Probably crochet. Probably crochet. But maybe if we're thinking like not a yarn related craft, I would play the piano. Attending Rhinebeck this year. I don't have any plans to attend Rhinebeck, although I think it would be really fun. I don't have anybody to go with, so if anybody wants to include me in their Rhinebeck plans, it's a party. What's a long-term yarn or pattern goal of yours? long term, I would love to knit a dress one day, a sweater dress. I like wearing sweater dresses. I only have one, so I would definitely like to knit one. Yarn wise, there's just so much to explore. I haven't tried a whole lot of yarn, but I'm learning so much about the different fibers and the different yarn brands and the different types of yarns that I really just want to diversify my yarn knowledge and experience. So I definitely want to try different fibers, different brands, differently constructed yarns. This question says, what makes you happy? What makes me happy? My family, especially as of late, I don't get to see my family super often. Some people don't really live close, and even now I just moved to a different neighborhood than where I grew up and where like my immediate family lives. It's not super far, I'm still local I'm in the same city, but with everything going on, I've really just found the time that I do spend with my family to be really precious and special. And I'm always happy to see them. And it gives me life in a way that I don't think it has before. So sorry if that's like too deep, but my family, being around my family, having the love and support of my family makes me happy. Most odd place that you've brought a project. I would definitely say it's either the museum or the movie theater. So we went to, my cousins invited me to, they rented out a movie theater to see, it was one of the Marvel movie releases since the pandemic started. And I definitely brought some yarn there, and it was apparently a hot topic of the night. But other than that, I did bring a sock whip to the museum. And when we were walking around looking at the exhibits, I was just stitching away. I like to bring yarn with me everywhere I can within reason, because it's just something to do. Like, we spend so much time waiting in line, waiting for appointments, riding in the car. And I think for most people, the default is to just scroll your phone, which I've been known to do. But since I've started knitting and this has become like my go-to hobby, to me, it feels a lot better to just crank out some stitches. That way I'm still aware of my surroundings. I can still engage with the people I'm with. I'm not totally absorbed in whatever the time was on the timeline or whatever's in the news feed. So yeah, I appreciate being able to bring knitting with me to places that I would otherwise not have anything to do. What is a craft thing you don't understand the hype behind or think is overrated? There are so many. I think there's something in my brain that sort of just is turned off by those things that are just ridiculously popular. And it's not because the popular thing isn't good or the popularity isn't warranted. It's just, it's really annoying sometimes how things just really take over. Just like everybody's knitting it, everybody's talking about it, everybody has it, and I'm like, there are very few things to me that are worth that much hype. In fact, I would argue that nothing is ever worth that much hype. Yes, something can be good, it can be great, it can be popular, but when there are just hordes and hordes of people doing the same thing, it really is unsettling to me for some reason. So in that category, I would say ranunculus, don't get it. Love note, don't get it. Andrea Mowry, she's cool, but don't get it. What else? Petite knit, I like petite knit and I have plans to make some of her patterns, but there are some people out there who just worship at her throne. And I just really am uncomfortable with that. I get it. I get it. Her patterns are cool. I want to make them myself. But sometimes I'm just like, girl, it's not that serious. So those are all of the questions that I received. Sorry if this was a little chaotic. I didn't really plan it. I just had the questions up and I was like, I'm gonna record myself answering them. And I'm sorry if I'm looking out, like behind the camera is the sidewalk in front of my house, and it's just nice to look at the trees blowing in the wind, and my eyes tend to wander when I'm thinking, and I did a lot of thinking in this video. So if you enjoyed this Q&A, I'm so happy you did. If you didn't, we'll be back to regular yarny related content in the future. But as always, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.